Lin Dong's figure landed on a stone platform, where he crossed his legs and settled down. Tilting his head slightly, he gazed upward at the black waterfall cascading down from above. Within the dark torrent, black flames danced silently, an eerie sight, as no crashing water sounds accompanied its ominous descent. "Senior Emolo, let's begin." Lin Dong took a deep breath and spoke, his tone steady. Emolo exchanged a glance with Xinqing, nodded slightly, and then extended his palm toward the black pool, gripping the air with sudden force. Boom! As Emolo's hand tightened, the previously silent pool of deathly flame shuddered violently. Black, flame-filled waters surged and churned layer upon layer, revealing a faint, massive black formation spinning deep within the pool. "Lin Dong, if you can't withstand it, say so. I'll pull you out, but don't push yourself too hard." Each wave of death energy here is as forceful as a full-strength strike from a practitioner at the major completion level of the death mystique stage. Emolo warned, his voice firm. Fixing his gaze on the pool, Lin Dong clenched his fists and laughed. "Don't worry, Senior Emolo. I survived 100,000 thunder strikes from the Thunder Ancestral Talisman. What's a mere pool of deathly flame? A bold spirit. Let's see how long you'll last then. Brace yourself, it's coming." At Emolo's low warning, Lin Dong's muscles tensed instinctively. He saw the pool's black water surge, the flames twisting into the form of a colossal black flame dragon. Roar! The black flame dragon raised its head and let out a silent, skyward howl. Its deathly aura radiated a terrifyingly intense destructive force. Swish! The dragon didn't give Lin Dong any time to react. As soon as it formed, it lunged forward, trailing a long tail of black flame. In mere moments, it grew within Lin Dong's widening pupils before crashing directly into his body. Thud! A muffled impact echoed as Lin Dong's body shuddered, his face contorting in pain. He could distinctly feel the fierce, pure death energy rushing into his body, violently surging through his muscles, meridians, bones, and internal organs. Under this onslaught, Lin Dong's skin began to gray, taking on a corpse-like appearance as the concentrated death energy seemed to drain his vitality. His internal organs even showed signs of weakening under the strain. Mishandling this volatile energy could easily result in severe internal injury, but Lin Dong would not let it get that far. With a focused thought, he swiftly activated the sky-transforming dragon art, and brilliant azure light began to flow from every corner within his body. Sizzle! The azure light enveloped Lin Dong's internal structure. With the art's protection, his meridians, bones, and organs pulsed, greedily absorbing the potent death energy as it surged through him. Death energy, though as sharp as a double-edged sword, would become an incredible weapon if mastered properly. At the edge of the pool of deathly flame, Emolo and the others watched Lin Dong intently. After a moment, they saw a flicker of azure light from within the thick death energy, growing brighter until it expanded like a massive maw, swallowing the death energy whole. More! Lin Dong's eyes shot open, azure light swirling in his pupils. Boom! As his shout fell, the black waves in the pool of deathly flame surged once more. An even fiercer black flame dragon coalesced and charged at Lin Dong. Engulfed by dense death energy, Lin Dong's body was surrounded by swirling azure light. The two forces clashed relentlessly, and gradually, the pure death energy began to seep deeper into Lin Dong's body, merging with him. TSK, this kid's mastery of the sky-transforming dragon art is impressive, Emolo remarked, a hint of admiration in his voice as he watched the stubborn azure glow amidst the death energy. Xinqing nodded with a smile, his eyes showing genuine appreciation. Although he had passed the sky-transforming dragon art to Lin Dong, the young man had achieved this level of mastery on his own, with limited guidance. From what I can tell, even with his skill, he'll only withstand around 40 waves of the energy, 47 at most, Emolo estimated, stroking his chin. As waves of deathly energy from the pool of deathly flame spirits surged forth, each successive wave grew stronger. After 40 rounds, each wave doubled in intensity. When Tang Xinlian endured 49 rounds, She had to rely on protective measures and still fell unconscious afterward. Needing 2 full months to recover, Emolo explained. That Lindong can even match Xinlian's endurance is impressive, said Qingji with a slight smile. Then, after a pause, he asked, so, 49 waves. Is that the limit for the pool of deathly flame spirits? Emolo looked momentarily taken aback before his brows knitted together. The limit is 50 waves, though no one has ever lasted through them all. Of course, this assumes the pool of deathly flame spirits still has its effect on the one enduring it. Generally, the pool of deathly flame spirits is most effective for those who have only recently reached the death mystique stage. As one's strength grows, its effects diminish. Therefore, within the Flame Deity Palace, only those below this threshold are allowed to enter, ensuring its precious death energy is not wasted. Perhaps today you'll witness something rare, Qingji said with a knowing smile. You have such faith in your sky-transforming dragon art? Emolo scoffed. It's not the art I trust in, Qingji replied. It's Lindong. Well, let's see if he can break Xinlian's record. I wouldn't mind watching. Emolo's tone was casual. Nearby, Tang Xinlian listened, her red lips pressed together, her gaze fixed on the lean figure seated atop a stone platform, enduring wave after wave of deathly energy. Despite his unassuming appearance, Lindong had a quiet knack for achieving the impossible, and deep in her eyes, a glimmer of anticipation began to stir. Rumble. As time passed, the once still pool of deathly flame spirits began to roil. Black flame dragons coalesced from its waters, each carrying increasingly fearsome waves of death energy that crashed relentlessly onto the figure atop the stone platform. Yet, encased in a faint azure glow, Lindong's figure remained steadfast, seemingly unmovable. The light may have looked fragile, but it never wavered. 40 waves. Now things get serious, Emolo remarked calmly. Hardly had he spoken when the pool's churning intensified. A black flame dragon, several times larger than the previous ones, slowly emerged, its eyes glowing dark red like eerie blood-colored orbs. It certainly has become far more intense, Qingji murmured, a hint of surprise crossing his face. With a thunderous roar, the massive black flame dragon hurled itself toward Lindong, surging forward in a cascade of death energy, finally colliding forcefully against his body. Upon impact, Lindong's face contorted in pain as his skin took on an ashen hue. But almost immediately, a low growl rumbled from his throat, and the azure light surged around him, fiercely protecting him. The two opposing energies clashed, neither side yielding. Boom! Lindong's gaze sharpened as he extended his hand, grabbing the dragon's head. With a sudden burst of azure light, he crushed the dragon, its dense death energy surging into his body. Come on, he muttered, his hand trembling, yet his eyes were ablaze with fierce determination. As if responding to his challenge, the pool of deathly flame spirits began to churn even more violently as black flame dragons continued their relentless assault on Lindong. Boom, boom, boom. Deep, echoing booms reverberated across the pool. Emolo watched Lindong's body, which, though trembling under the continuous onslaught of black flame dragons, stood firm without falling. Gradually, Emolo's gaze grew more intense. 47 rounds, Tang Xinlian whispered, her voice tinged with a faint tremor. She knew the agony he was enduring, having faced it herself up to the 47th wave. It had taken all her preparation to withstand the pain, and even then, she had nearly succumbed. Suddenly, the entire pool erupted in violent waves. 2 enormous black vortices formed, hurtling outward like twin black dragons tearing through the sky. Laden with a staggering force of death energy, they crashed against Lindong with unparalleled ferocity. A powerful surge of dark energy spread from the point of impact like tidal waves. The force was so overwhelming that even a seasoned death mystique stage cultivator would face mortal peril if struck. Emolo, Qingji, and Tang Xinlian watched intently as the dark energy began to dissipate. At this moment, Lindong's body was an ashen gray, his skin smeared with a thick, black substance, a residue of intensely concentrated death energy. Cough. Lin Dong coughed violently, dark blood spilling from his mouth. A clear sign of severe internal damage. This kid's got some fight in him, no doubt about that. Emolo exhaled, impressed. Despite Lin Dong's battered appearance, it was remarkable that he had withstood the onslaught of 49 waves of death energy. Enough, he said, waving his sleeve, intending to close the pool of deathly flame. But just as he spoke, the figure on the stone platform raised an arm with some difficulty. Under Tang Xinlian's widening gaze, a raspy voice rang out. One more. One more. As the hoarse words echoed from the platform, Emolo and Tang Xinlian both stiffened, though Qingji merely offered a knowing smile, as if this outcome had been expected. Lin Dong. No one has ever endured 50 waves of death energy from this pool of deathly flame. That last wave is vastly different from the ones before. If you fail, no matter how resilient your body is, it will be corroded entirely by the death energy. Emolo warned sternly. On the stone platform, Lin Dong raised his hand, his skin by now ghostly gray from the death energy's erosion. The immense pain was evident in his silence, but the slight movement of his hand showed a determination not to back down. Strength is never achieved without a price. To become more powerful than others, one must take on efforts and risks others would never dare. A truth Lin Dong had understood from the moment he left the great Yuan dynasty. Emolo's gaze narrowed. This kid. He was more stubborn than he had imagined. Let him be, Emolo. If he set his mind on this, there's nothing you can do to stop him, Qingji said with a light smile from the side. Emolo gave a weary smile and shook his head. Easy for you to say. If his body is destroyed, you think creating a new one will be simple? Qingji smiled slightly, watching the trembling figure on the stone platform. He'll make it. Let's hope so. Thick strands of death energy dripped from the stone platform, disappearing into the pool below without even the slightest splash, not a ripple marring the water's surface. As the 49th wave subsided, the pool of deathly flame seemed to fall silent, as if this were the end. Master, Tang Xinlian whispered, a flicker of doubt crossing her gaze. No one had ever survived to see the 50th wave, so not even she knew what it might entail. It's coming, Emolo muttered, his gaze fixed on the black waterfall above the pool, his eyes now shadowed with a deep apprehension. Buzz, buzz. Moments after Emolo's voice fell, the ground began to tremble. Tang Xinlian looked up in astonishment, her pupils contracting as she watched the massive black waterfall above them slowly writhe, like a giant black dragon revealing its terrifying presence. A suffocating wave of death energy unfurled, casting a grayish pallor over the entire space, the atmosphere so heavy that even the air seemed unable to bear it. On the stone platform, Lin Dong sensed the impending menace above. He slowly lifted his head, his gaze reflecting the writhing black waterfall overhead, a shadow looming like death itself. He took a deep breath. This final wave was beyond anything he could have imagined. No wonder Emolo had tried to dissuade him. But there was no backing down now. Bring it on. Seated cross-legged, Lin Dong's gaze locked onto the black waterfall, his eyes igniting with a fierce resolve. The black waterfall twisted and churned, pouring streams of dark water that seeped into the pool below. Yet despite its overwhelming descent, the waterfall made no sound as it merged with the pool, a silence so chilling it could freeze the heart. Crack. In an instant, an invisible noise shattered the stillness, and the air around them seemed to flee. The black waterfall surged downward, a mountain of darkness bearing down on Lin Dong with unstoppable force. Boom. As the waterfall collided, the massive stone platform crumbled to dust, its collapse silent yet underscored by the ground's violent trembling, a testament to the impact's fearsome power. At the edge of the pool of deathly flame, Emolo and his companions watched the dark waterfall with grave expressions. Their sharp eyesight allowed them to faintly discern Lin Dong's figure within, his body gradually darkening, an ominous sign of physical decay. He's not going to make it, Tang Xinlian said urgently. No one could have anticipated the ferocity of this final wave. Compared to it, The previous 49 seemed almost trivial. Master, get him out now. Emoluo's face remained tense as he glanced at Xinqing, whose expression stayed calm. With a slight shake of his head, Emoluo said softly, "Hold on, that kid's still hanging in there." A raw, beast-like groan of excruciating pain seeped from the waterfall. The agony was unimaginable, and even Lin Dong, known for his resilience, was now struggling visibly. Tang Xinlian covered her mouth in shock. She could see that within the black waterfall, Lin Dong's body was shrinking, his flesh corroded by waves of deathly energy that seemed to gnaw at him with relentless ferocity. Layer after layer of blackened skin accumulated on his body, a sight chilling to the core. The tortured groans eventually weakened, but it wasn't due to a lessening of pain. Rather, the decay had ravaged his throat. Now, only a ragged, strained noise emerged, lacking its former clarity. Watching this, even Tang Xinlian, usually strong-willed, felt her eyes redden slightly. She looked away, unable to bear the sight. Only now did she begin to understand why this young man, close to her in age, commanded such respect from her master and a powerhouse like Xinqing. It wasn't just about talent, it was his unyielding tenacity. That resolve was beyond her reach. At least in the past, she wouldn't have had the courage to endure the 50th surge of deathly energy. "Lin Dong, hang in there," she murmured, clenching her hands. At last, the hoarse cries ceased entirely. Yet, the terrifying waves of deathly energy continued to wash over the motionless figure within, making it impossible to tell whether any spark of life remained. This relentless onslaught went on for another 10 minutes. Then, the black waterfall began to reverse its flow, rising back into the air and cascading like thick ink. As the waterfall retreated, Emoluo and the others fixed their gaze on the pool of deathly flame. Black flames roared over the surface, and a mound of blackened skin fragments piled like a small hill. With a wave of Emoluo's sleeve, a gust scattered the dark remnants, revealing a body beneath. Pitch black, emaciated, skeletal. Tang Xinlian looked at this blackened figure, biting her lip in an effort to stifle her voice. She could detect no hint of life from that body. Emoluo's expression grew heavier. He turned to glance at Xinqing, whose calm exterior barely concealed a palpable tension in his stance. A silence so thick it stifled their breath settled over them. Crack. In that oppressive silence, a faint sound broke through. The three of them immediately focused on it, and to their surprise, cracks began spreading across the blackened remains. Their eyes narrowed. These blackened fragments, formed by deathly energy, were impermeable even to Xinqing's senses. Under their unblinking gaze, the cracks spread, and with a soft snap, a long, slender arm emerged from within. Crack, crack. Black fragments began to fall away rapidly, and as they did, a vibrant, healthy color reappeared. When the last of the blackened shell fell away, a tall, robust young body stood revealed once more. His dark eyes were bright and confident, each muscle on his body radiating power. It was as though this body had undergone a rebirth through the flames of death. Though not massive, his lean frame held an unmistakable aura of raw strength. Emoluo and the others gazed at Lin Dong's transformed body, their keen senses quickly noting the drastic change. His body now possessed an unmistakable strength far beyond what it had held before. Within him surged a boundless, vigorous primordial energy, interwoven with threads of pure death energy, lending him a stability as unshakable as bedrock. It was clear, Lin Dong had truly survived the ordeal of the 50th wave of death energy. This kid, Emoluo's mouth twisted into a grin, his eyes filled with admiration. Once again, Lin Dong had managed to impress him. Phew. A faint smile appeared on Xinqing's face, yet only Emoluo could sense that Xinqing's previously tense body had finally begun to relax. Noticing their gazes, Lin Dong grinned sheepishly and began to approach, but he was immediately startled as a fiery red spear hurtled toward him. He quickly stumbled back a few steps, turning in bewilderment to see Tang Xinlian standing there, her cheeks flushed, eyes averted, yet glinting with reproach. "Put your clothes on." As her embarrassed reprimand echoed, Emolo burst into laughter, with Xinqing smiling and shaking his head. With an awkward chuckle, Lin Dong hastily dressed before moving over to join them by the pool. Tang Xinlian finally turned her gaze toward him, her blush deepening as she briefly paused. Though Lin Dong's appearance hadn't changed much, his skin now held a faintly luminous, pearly glow, and his dark eyes had grown unusually deep, likely a side effect of possessing the devouring ancestral talisman. Meeting his gaze for just a moment made her heart race before she quickly looked away, feeling a flutter she found unfamiliar. Realizing her reaction, Tang Xinlian felt a bit flustered. She had encountered many men whose mere looks could make women swoon, but she'd never been affected by appearances alone. This was evident with Zhou Zhe, a man both striking and highly skilled, who tried in vain to win her heart for years, only to give up in the end. Strong-willed by nature, Tang Xinlian took pride in her own resilience. But now, the simple act of meeting Lin Dong's gaze stirred unexpected feelings, filling her with a touch of girlish frustration. "Next time, my spear might not miss," she said, face stern and gripping her crimson phoenix spear as it returned to her hand in a flash of crimson light. Lin Dong could only offer a sheepish laugh, clearly hoping to avoid a repeat of this awkward scene. But, congratulations. No one has ever survived the 50th wave of death energy in the pool of deathly flame. Tang Xinlian's tone softened, and her eyes brightened with genuine admiration as she regarded Lin Dong. A sentiment difficult to earn from someone like her. Lin Dong felt a spark of satisfaction seeing that brief look of respect. Only after coming to know her unyielding spirit could he appreciate just how rare it was for her to show even the slightest admiration. "I almost couldn't make it," he replied humbly. Glancing at the enormous black waterfall, he felt a residual chill. He'd brushed up against death, an experience as harrowing as his battle with the wolf demon general. He doubted he'd survive a second attempt. The pool of deathly flame was terrifying indeed. No wonder no one before him had dared face the final wave of death energy's assault, except for someone as recklessly determined as he was. Ahem. "Hey, do you two young ones think we're invisible here?" Emolo's playful voice broke the quiet, causing Lin Dong and Tang Xinlian to turn. Emolo and Xinqing stood watching them with amused expressions. Lin Dong cleared his throat, while Tang Xinlian's face turned slightly red. Yet she didn't look away. Instead, she glared at Emolo, letting out a faint huff. "If you keep teasing, I'll just go into seclusion and leave you to manage Flame Deity Palace alone." Her words wiped the grin from Emolo's face instantly, his expression snapping to seriousness as he turned to Lin Dong. Lin Dong felt both amused and exasperated. How could he be portrayed like some chaotic troublemaker? Just as he was about to speak, his gaze shifted. He heard the sound of wind from afar. Tang Xinlian was approaching, with someone trailing her. "Lin Dong, this is a disciple from our Flame Deity Palace. She's also from the demon realm." Lin Dong followed her gaze and saw a small figure beside Tang Xinlian, a slender young girl with delicate features and large, watery eyes. She glanced shyly at Lin Dong, then quickly looked away. "Master Lin Dong, my name is Xinqing. I'm from the Ninetails clan in the demonic beast realm. Lord Xingji thought your friend might have been transported to the region near our clan, so he asked me to accompany you." The girl spoke softly, her head bowed, nervously wringing her hands. The Ninetails clan? Lin Dong was momentarily surprised, glancing instinctively behind her. Noticing his gaze, Xinqing's face flushed as she stepped closer to Tang Xinlian, who gave Lin Dong a reproachful look while pulling Xinqing back. Lin Dong coughed lightly, offering a kind smile. "Miss Xinqing, thank you for your help. Xinqing is part of our Flame Deity Guard. Despite her young age, she's already reached the minor completion stage of the life mystique stage. As she guides you, don't even think of taking advantage of her. Or else." Tang Xinlian's elegant hand clenched slightly, a hint of menace flashing in her narrowed, radiant eyes. Lin Dong could only laugh wryly. "Would I really do something like that?" After a moment's thought, Tang Xinlian broke into a smile, a bit coquettish this time. She looked at him, her tone much gentler. Be careful on this journey. Lin Dong nodded. Suddenly, he turned his head toward the mountain peak, where vast, powerful spatial ripples swept outwards, forming a towering pillar of light that soared into the sky. He watched that beam for a long while, finally taking a deep breath. With a decisive leap off the stone ledge, he waved his hand and strode confidently toward the mountaintop. Let's go. At the mountain summit, a massive light array swirled. Above it, the space twisted, as if forming a dark spatial passageway. Below the array, Xinqing and Emolo finally retracted their hands. The distance between the Chaos Demon Sea and the Demon Realm was immense. Even for a powerful death mystique stage expert, it would take nearly half a year to fly across. Therefore, such a long-distance spatial teleportation array was beyond the reach of most. But for Emolo and Xinqing, a reincarnation stage powerhouse and a master of the Ancestral Talisman, constructing this was well within their capabilities. Lin Dong, the array is complete. Time to set off, Emolo said, looking over at Lin Dong as he stepped onto the peak. Lin Dong nodded, and Xinqing hurried to catch up. She glanced nervously at Emolo and Xinqing, aware that as a young member of the Flame Deity Palace, meeting the palace's highest authority figures like Emolo was a rare occurrence. This little one has been introduced, right? Emolo asked, glancing at Xinqing. She's from the Ninetails clan. Xinqing mentioned that your friend, little Yin, might be near her clan's territory. I know her clan's leader. Telling them your situation should get you some assistance. Thank you, Elder Emolo, Lin Dong replied, inclining his head in gratitude. Then, the two of you should enter the array. Let's go, Lin Dong said, motioning to Xinqing before stepping into the grand light array. She hesitated briefly, then followed him. Xinqing watched the two enter, then flicked his fingers. A streak of green light shot toward Lin Dong, who caught it and found a small piece of green bone in his hand. Since you're heading to the Demon Realm, if you get a chance to visit the Dragon Clan, show them this. It's essential for the final mastery of your sky-transforming dragon art. What is this? Lin Dong asked in surprise. A dragon transformation bone, Xinqing explained calmly. The Dragon Clan has an ancient dragon transformation pool. If you're allowed entry, you'll be able to complete the final stage of your technique and bring it to perfection. The ancient dragon transformation pool isn't easy to access. Do you think those old dragons would let Lin Dong take such a rare opportunity? You had access because you bear Dragon Clan blood, but Lin Dong's a pure human, Emolo reminded him. That will depend on his luck. Xinqing replied. Lin Dong nodded slightly, carefully storing the bone. Hey, you have to come back to the Chaos Demon Sea. Tang Xinlian couldn't help but shout, gazing at the tall figure of the young man standing in the light array. Lin Dong nodded firmly. He would return to this place one day, though he knew that when he did, it would be under very different circumstances. The transfer is about to begin. Be careful, you two. Emolo and Xinqing exchanged glances before shifting their hand seals. Instantly, the space around them began to distort intensely. Above, a swirling vortex, like a massive mouth, began descending, and the light surrounding Lin Dong and his companion grew ever brighter. Lin Dong, if anyone in the Demon Realm gives you trouble, just come to the Chaos Demon Sea. We'll have your back. Mu Lingshan waved her little hand, her large eyes rimmed with the sadness of parting. Her words brought a smile to Lin Dong's face and a warmth to his heart. Lingshan, keep up your training. Someday, I'll need your help, Lin Dong replied, smiling. He knew Lingshan, as the life and death ancestral talisman, had tremendous potential. He could already imagine that, in the future battle against the alien demons, Lingshan would be a force no one could ignore. Yes. Lingshan nodded emphatically, her eyes growing redder as she watched Lin Dong, who was now enveloped in a brilliant light. Take care, everyone. Until we meet again. Lin Dong's final words echoed as the light surged to its peak. The twisted space roared down, swallowing him and his companions' figures in a single gulp. Violent spatial waves spread out in all directions. The radiant glow lasted for a long time before gradually dissipating, and the light array began to fade. When it finally grew dim, the two figures had vanished entirely, leaving only the slowly mending space as proof of what had happened here moments ago. They finally left. Emolo gazed at the closing space, heaving a long sigh before breaking into a smile. I wonder what kind of trouble that kid will stir up in the demon realm. Xinqing smiled slightly, hands clasped behind his back as he looked up. I have a feeling that the next time we meet, this young man will be incredibly powerful. I look forward to it. Emolo nodded, clearly curious to see how far this youth, who Xinqing believed might one day rival the great lord of the ancestral talisman, could actually go. He couldn't wait for that day to arrive. As Lindong crossed through space, leaving the chaos demon sea to venture toward the distant demon realm, something unusual was stirring in the Eastern Mystery region. In the Eastern Mystery region, at the Yuan sect. As the most powerful sect in the region, Yuan sect was always bustling and lively. Disciples moved about constantly, each face displaying a hint of pride, a pride in belonging to the strongest sect in the land. But some disciples would occasionally glance up at the ominous clouds gathering above, feeling a slight unease. Lately, the atmosphere within the sect seemed a bit off. Deep within the Yuan sect, on a lonely mountain peak, stood a decrepit hall, its surroundings covered in spider webs, with dark insects crawling about, spreading an eerie chill. This was the sect's forbidden ground, off-limits even to some elders. At that moment, 3 figures sat silently within the hall. Upon closer inspection, they were none other than the 3 giants of Yuan sect. But there was an uncharacteristic shadow in their gazes. Huachun is dead. After a long silence, Yuanzi finally spoke, his voice hoarse. And that other one, Sushio, as well. Both were killed by Lindong. That kid sure knows how to keep us up at night, Yuanzi murmured, his eyes flashing with a hint of malice. Now he's aligned himself with the Flame Deity Palace in the Chaos Demon Sea, the one led by Emolo, who controls the Flame Ancestral Talisman. Lindong, Emolo, and the Azure Dragon King Xinqing planned this together. Yuanzi leaned back into his chair, his face partially hidden in shadow, lending him an unsettling appearance. The King of Netherheaven brought along 3 demon generals, only for all 3 to be killed. He himself barely escaped with a trace of his blood essence. A slight twitch at Yuanzi's mouth gave way to a menacing look. That boy, he's no simple opponent. Yuanzi and Yuanzi fell silent. Who would have guessed that the young man they could have crushed with a finger back then would cost them so dearly now? The demon prison's existence must be out in the open by now, Yuanzi murmured. The revelation was bound to happen sooner or later. In that case, we might as well move our plans forward. Yuanzi's shadowed eyes opened, a fierce and boundless rage gleaming within. We must take over the Eastern Mystery region. Only one ruler can preside here. Yuanzi exchanged a glance with his counterpart, then looked toward a shadowed corner of the Grand Hall, where dark mist seemed to stir. A cold, muttering voice drifted quietly through the hall. Begin. What about the Flame Deity Palace? Yuanzi asked, glancing upward at the dilapidated ceiling of the hall. Demon Prison will handle them. Your focus should remain on the Eastern Mystery region. Demon Prison will support you from the shadows. The chilling voice echoed softly. Yuanzi gave a slight nod and then slowly rose. His gaze, glowing with dark light, fixed beyond the hall, while a fervent smile crept across his lips. So be it. Then let war commence. I want that boy to return and witness a Dao sect reduced to rubble. As ominous clouds quietly spread over the vast Eastern Mystery region, far to the region's northernmost edge lay a land of ice and snow, a freezing realm where even the primordial energy seemed to freeze. Here, in this frozen expanse, towered a massive glacier stretching thousands of feet, piercing the heavens with a majestic form that seemed endless. Deep within this glacier, faint glimmers of ice-blue light flickered rhythmically, almost like breathing. At times, the lights seemed to converge, forming an ancient, intricate symbol. However, the light barely flickered before vanishing once more, leaving the depths enshrouded in silence and ice. At the same moment, within the distant mountains of the Eastern Mystery region, a supreme sect called the Dao sect lay hidden. In the depths of a secluded, icy lake, a single lotus floated. Seated atop this icy lotus was a slender young woman, her long hair the color of icy blue, cascading down over the lotus in pure, dustless strands, each glistening with crystalline clarity. From afar, her beauty was breathtaking. This ethereal figure, as though an ice fairy within the lotus, suddenly opened her frost-blue eyes. She looked into the distant horizon, her delicate brows knitting slightly, as if a call was reaching her, piercing the very fabric of space.